let's talk about psychological manipulation. Now, I know it's a heavy topic, but it is so important to understand. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down: what it is, how it works, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself. Because really, getting a handle on these dynamics, that's the very first step to getting your clarity back.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you're just constantly walking on eggshells around someone? Or have you found yourself second-guessing your own memory, your feelings, maybe even your own sanity? If any of that is ringing a bell, you are definitely not alone. And that feeling you're experiencing, it actually has a name.
So let's take that vague, kind of unsettling feeling and give it a proper name. Because the first step to really understanding something and dealing with it is being able to define it.
Okay, so at its absolute core, psychological manipulation is covert influence. And the two words you really got to latch onto here are covert, which just means it's hidden, it's sneaky, and for their own benefit. This isn't about healthy persuasion, no. This is about a hidden agenda that serves the manipulator, usually at your expense.
And this is what makes it so tricky, right? Manipulation almost never looks like obvious aggression. In fact, a lot of the time, it wears a mask. It disguises itself as concern or logic or even love. But no matter what it looks like on the outside, the goal underneath is always control.
Now, we need to be really clear about something. Not all influence is manipulation. Of course not. We influence each other all the time. Think about a friend encouraging you or a mentor giving you some solid advice. That's healthy. The absolutely critical thing is knowing where that line is and when somebody crosses it. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. Look at this. Healthy influence, it's transparent. It respects your freedom, your right to say no, and it actually builds you up. But manipulation, it's the total opposite. It's all about hidden motives, pressuring you to just go along with things, and in the end, it's designed to make you dependent on them.
So, how do they do it? How do manipulators actually achieve this? Well, they often rely on a surprisingly predictable set of tactics. So let's open up the playbook and look at 5 of the most common techniques you really need to be able to spot. All right, first up is a word you've probably heard a lot lately: gaslighting. This one is especially corrosive because it's designed to make you completely question your own reality. The manipulator just systematically works to make you doubt your memory, your perception, and even your own sanity. This is the classic line, isn't it? Phrases like, "You're imagining things," or "That never happened," or my favorite, "You're just being too sensitive." It's a direct attack on your reality. And what's the goal? To make you feel so unstable that you become dependent on their version of what's real.
Okay, next up, guilt tripping. This tactic preys on something most of us have, a sense of fairness and obligation. It's basically about weaponizing your own guilt to make you do something you probably wouldn't do otherwise.
This phrase, it's a masterclass in guilt tripping. See how it reframes a past kindness? It's no longer a gift, it's a debt that you now owe. It implies that because they did something for you way back when, you are now obligated to do whatever they want now. It's a transaction disguised as a relationship. Our next tactic, emotional blackmail, takes it a step further. It weaponizes your emotions against you. This isn't just about making you feel guilty, it's about using threats, usually of emotional fallout, to force you to do what they want. It really leverages your fear of their reaction or your fear of hurting them.
Wow. That is a heavy statement. What it does is it takes all the responsibility for their emotional well-being and puts it squarely on your shoulders. It's a trap. It makes your own needs, your own decisions, the potential cause of their suffering. The silent treatment, this one's insidious because it can easily pretend to be something else, like just needing space. But we're talking about something very different here: the intentional, punitive withholding of communication. It's weaponized silence, and it's designed to punish you.
See, the key here is that the silence is conditional. It's not about cooling off, it's about control. The silence only ends when you finally break down, apologize, often for something you didn't even do, and basically hand the power right back to them.
Our final tactic is maybe the most confusing of all, because on the surface, it feels amazing: love bombing. It's that over-the-top, intense rush of attention and affection, usually right at the start of a relationship. The goal is simple: to get you hooked fast, to make you feel completely and utterly adored.
And you'll hear phrases just like this. They're designed to create this powerful, almost intoxicating bond.
It makes you feel incredibly special, unique, and that forges a deep sense of connection and dependence very, very quickly. The problem? This intense phase is often just the setup, used to secure your attachment before the other manipulative behaviors start to creep in.
So, after being on the receiving end of these tactics, the gaslighting, the guilt tripping, the love bombing, what's the cumulative effect? Let's talk about the emotional aftermath because the toll this takes is incredibly real.
The impact is profound, and it builds over time. It leads to this chronic self-doubt where you just don't trust your own judgment anymore. You get this pervasive anxiety from always feeling like you're walking on eggshells, decision paralysis because you're terrified of making the wrong choice, and honestly, just a deep emotional exhaustion that can, over time, completely erase your sense of who you are.
And this is one of the most heartbreaking things you'll hear from someone who's been through it. It speaks directly to that loss of identity. It's the feeling that the person you were before all this, confident, decisive, joyful, has just disappeared.
Okay, we've defined the problem, we've seen the devastating impact, but we are not going to leave you there. The most important part is this: how do you protect yourself? Let's walk through your path back to clarity.
Here is a practical 5-step defense you can start using. First, name it. Just in your own head, identify the tactic. Oh, that's guilt tripping. Second, pause. Don't let them pressure you. Create space before you respond. Third, set boundaries. Clearly state what is and is not okay with you. Fourth, and this one is critical, trust patterns, not apologies. Actions speak louder than words. And finally, get a reality check. Talk to a trusted friend, write in a journal, anything to make sure the manipulator isn't your only source of truth.
And that really brings us to the most important question you can ask yourself when you're trying to find your footing again. Manipulators are often masters of the apology. They can be so convincing, but their patterns of behavior, those rarely change. So the question I want to leave you with is this: which one holds the truth? Their patterns or their apologies? Which one are you going to trust?